Hello, English learners. Welcome back to our another exciting podcast where we discuss important topics to improve your English skills and better life. I'm Adam, your resident go-with-the-flow adventurer. You know, the guy who rolls out of bed on a Saturday with zero plans and somehow stumbles into an amazing day.
And I'm Sophia, your friendly neighborhood planner who believes that the best weekends are carefully curated, color-coded schedules, reservations, and all. Honestly, Adam, it's a miracle you even find time to do laundry with your whatever happens approach.
Hey, I call it spontaneous brilliance, Sophia. But seriously, isn't that the magic of weekends? Whether you're a master planner like Sophia or a carefree drifter like me, there's no wrong way to enjoy them.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. Weekend plans. Are you team adventure or team relaxation? Do you seize the day or let the day take you wherever it wants?
Plus, we'll be sharing some hilarious weekend fails, exploring the best trends for making the most of your free time, and even helping you figure out your weekend personality with a fun quiz.
And later in the show, we'll reveal our dream weekend plans. You won't want to miss Adam's, which probably involves pizza and a nap.
Guilty as charged. But before we dive in, here's a question for all of you tuning in. What's your perfect weekend? Is it Netflix and takeout, a jam-packed itinerary, or something in between? Let us know on Instagram or drop us an email. We might even share your stories in an upcoming episode.
So grab your coffee, tea, or maybe that Friday night cocktail, and let's whisper into your weekend together. Ready, Adam?
Let's do it. This is Weekend Whispers, where the weekend vibes never end. Let's jump in. All right. Let's jump into our first segment, Planner versus Spontaneous, the ultimate weekend showdown. So, Sophia, tell me, what's so magical about being a planner? Why do you need a roadmap for your weekends?
Oh, Adam, where do I even begin? Planning is the secret sauce to making sure your weekend is full of memories instead of missed opportunities. Think about it. When you plan, you avoid wasting precious time. You can book a table at that trendy restaurant before it's full or snag tickets to a must-see show before it's sold out. Planning is like unlocking the full potential of the weekend.
Full potential, huh? Or is it just creating a weekend full of stress? I mean, doesn't it ever get overwhelming, Sophia? Like, what if you're running late or the weather changes or, heaven forbid, your plan falls apart?
Okay, I'll admit, plans don't always go perfectly. But even when something goes sideways, at least I have a backup plan. Remember that time I planned a picnic and it started raining? I already had a cafe in mind as plan B. We ended up having an amazing day sipping hot chocolate and watching the rain through the window. You can't deny the power of a solid PL.
Fine, but let me counter with this. What about the thrill of not having a plan? The freedom to wake up and just decide in the moment. Like last weekend, I woke up, grabbed my camera, and just went for a walk in the city. Next thing I knew, I stumbled onto a street fair. Great food, live music, amazing photos. It was perfect. No plans, no pressure.
Ah, yes, the infamous Adam no plans strategy. Sounds exciting, unless you end up wandering aimlessly and eating soggy hot dogs from a random cart.
Hey, I'll have you know those hot dogs are iconic. But seriously, it's about embracing the unexpected. There's something magical about not knowing what's next. It makes the weekend feel like an adventure.
Or a gamble. Let me ask you this, Adam. What if you decide to be spontaneous, and your friends are all busy because you didn't give them a heads up? Or what if that street fair never existed? Then what?
Then I'd enjoy a quiet day at home, Sophia. I'm not afraid to pivot. Spontaneity isn't about perfection. It's about enjoying the moment, whatever it may be.
Okay, I see your point. But here's the thing. Planning doesn't mean rigidity. It's about setting yourself up for success. You can plan flexibly. For example, if I plan a hike, I don't time it down to the minute. I just make sure I know the trail, have snacks, and maybe a playlist ready.
So you're saying you leave room for spontaneity in your plans?
Exactly. And maybe you should try it sometime. Just a little structure to elevate your weekend adventures.
Elevate? My weekends are already top tier, thank you very much. But fine, maybe I'll try planning loosely. Like I could say, I'll go somewhere outdoors, and then just decide which park when I get there.
Baby steps, Adam, baby steps. But I have to ask, do you ever plan anything? Like, what about vacations or special events? Surely you don't wing everything.
Okay, okay, you've got me. For big stuff like vacations, I do plan a little. I'll book flights and hotels, maybe research a few spots I want to check out. But I leave the day-to-day stuff open, because that's where the magic happens.
So you're a semi-planner. Interesting. See? You're not as spontaneous as you think.
Whoa, don't go putting me in the planner box. I'm just saying sometimes a little structure isn't the worst thing. But weekends, those are sacred. They're for freedom and surprises.
And I respect that, even if I think you're missing out by not booking that table at the city's hottest brunch spot.
Hot take. The best brunch is the one you stumble upon without a reservation.
Agree to disagree, Adam. But I think we can both agree that whether you plan or go with the flow, the goal is to make the weekend memorable.
Absolutely. And for all our listeners, we want to know, what's your style? Are you team planner, team spontaneous, or somewhere in between? Hit us up on Instagram or send us an email with your stories. Bonus points if you've got a funny weekend fail to share.
And if you're a hardcore planner or a proud spontaneous soul, we'd love to hear why. Maybe you'll even convince Adam to embrace a little more structure, or me to let go of my plans, but don't count on it.
We'll see, Sophia. All right, folks, stick around because coming up next, we've got a fun quiz to help you discover your weekend personality. Are you more like me or Sophia? Let's find out after the break.
Okay, Adam, now that we've argued over planners and spontaneous adventurers, let's help our listeners figure out where they stand. Time for a quick quiz to uncover their weekend personality.
Yes. Is your weekend all about schedules, or are you living life on the edge like me? Listeners, here's how it works. Answer the questions honestly, and by the end, you'll know if you're team planner, team spontaneous, or a mix of both.
Quiz begins. Question 1. It's Friday night, and the weekend is finally here. What's your first thought? A. I've already got my whole weekend planned out. B. I'll see what I feel like doing tomorrow morning. C. I'll check in with friends and decide last minute.
See, this is a trick question. If you're like me, you've already decided that sleeping in is the first priority, which means option B all the way.
And if you're like me, you've got option A. Why waste time figuring things out when you could be doing things?
Okay, next up. You wake up on a Saturday morning with no obligations. What's your move? A. Hit up that yoga class or market you planned earlier. B. Stay in bed, relax, and maybe binge watch something. C. Decide spontaneously to go for a hike or visit a cafe.
See, Adam, this is where planning pays off. If you choose option A, you're already out the door getting things done.
Or you're out of breath. Option B, people, your body needs rest. And if you're adventurous, C is where the fun starts.
Question 3. Plans change last minute. How do you react? A. Panic and scramble to create a backup plan. B. Go with the flow and embrace the change. C. Adapt, but secretly feel annoyed.
Option B, no contest. If plans change, it's just an opportunity to find something better.
I'd say C is where most people land. You adjust, but you're secretly a little bummed your original plan didn't work out.
Final question. You're planning a weekend getaway. How do you handle it? A. Book everything in advance. Flights, hotel, activities, even meals. B. Book the essentials and leave the rest open. C. Wait until the last minute and figure it all out on the fly.
If you're not picking A, are you even traveling? The best places fill up fast. You need to lock those in.
Option C is the way to go. Nothing beats showing up and letting the adventure unfold naturally.
All right, listeners, tally up your answers. If you chose mostly A's, you're a planner like me. Your weekends are well organized, efficient, and packed with experiences.
If you chose mostly B's, welcome to Team Spontaneous. You're all about living in the moment and letting the weekend surprise you.
And if you're mostly C's, congrats. You're the best of both worlds. You know how to plan, but aren't afraid to switch it up.
So, Sophia, do you think we converted any spontaneous souls into planners?
Doubtful. but maybe we convinced them to try scheduling a little more. And what about you, Adam? Ready to trade in your carefree weekends for a planner?
Never. But hey, I might write relax on my to-do list. Does that count?
Close enough. And for our listeners, we'd love to hear your results. Are you team planner, team spontaneous, or a balanced adventurer? Share your stories and let's see who really rules the weekend. So, Adam, we've talked about planners, spontaneous adventurers, and everything in between.
All right, Sophia. We've saved the juiciest part of the episode for last. Weekend confessions. This is where we get real about our most memorable, hilarious, or downright embarrassing weekend moments. Are you ready to spill the tea?
I was born ready, but only if you promise to share something equally embarrassing, Adam. No holding back.
Deal. Okay, listeners, brace yourselves. This is the segment where we drop the filters and tell you what really goes down on the weekends. Because let's face it, we've all had those, what was I thinking, moments.
Let me start with one of my most chaotic weekends ever. So I thought I could do it all. I scheduled a Saturday jam-packed with activities: breakfast with friends, a yoga class, a museum visit, and a dinner party. Everything was timed perfectly in my planner. But then disaster struck. The breakfast ran late because one of my friends showed up 30 minutes behind schedule. That made me late for yoga, so I skipped it, thinking I'd have time to catch up later. Then the museum had this massive line because I didn't pre-buy tickets. Major rookie mistake. I ended up rushing home to get ready for the dinner party, but I was so exhausted by then that I left early and fell asleep in my dress.
Oh no, Sophia, even your disasters are overplanned. But hey, at least you made it to everything, sort of.
Barely. That weekend taught me the hard way that overbooking is a terrible idea. Now, I always leave room for things to go wrong or for some spontaneous fun. Your turn, Adam. What's one of your infamous weekend fails?
Okay, picture this. It's Friday night, and my friends and I decide, completely last minute, to go camping. Sounds fun, right? Except none of us actually checked the weather forecast. We just packed a tent, some snacks, and hit the road. Fast forward to midnight. We're setting up camp in the dark, using our phones as flashlights when it starts pouring rain. And I mean torrential. The tent was leaking, our snacks got soaked, and by morning, we looked like drowned rats. To top it off, we couldn't even make coffee because the matches were wet.
Adam, I can't. A little planning might have saved you from becoming a human sponge.
Hey, it was memorable, though. We ended up finding a nearby diner and spent the rest of the day drying out and laughing about how bad we are at being outdoorsy.
Okay, Adam, those were pretty good. But I know our listeners have even better stories. So let's share a few weekend confessions we've gotten from them.
Yes. Thank you to everyone who sent in your wild, funny, and even cringe-worthy weekend tales. Here's one from Emily. One weekend, I tried to bake a fancy cake from scratch for my friend's birthday. I misread the recipe and added way too much baking soda. Long story short, the cake exploded in the oven, and I had to rush out and buy a store-bought one at the last minute. Never again.
Oh no, Emily. That sounds like my worst nightmare. But hey, at least you had a backup plan.
Here's another one from Rahul. I went to a karaoke night with my coworkers and decided to sing a high-energy Bollywood song. Halfway through, I realized I only knew the chorus. The rest of the song, complete gibberish. My coworkers still tease me about it.
Rahul, that is both hilarious and relatable. Karaoke is a risk even when you know the song. So what's the lesson here, Adam? Are weekend disasters just inevitable?
I think so. But honestly, that's what makes them memorable. The best weekends aren't the ones that go perfectly. They're the ones that make you laugh, grow, or give you a story to tell.
Exactly. Whether you overbook like me, forget to plan like Adam, or end up with exploding cakes like Emily, the key is to roll with it and find the fun in the cow.
And if it's truly a disaster, just chalk it up to a good story for the next Weekend Whispers. Speaking of which, keep those confessions coming, listeners. We love hearing your weekend wins and fails.
And who knows? Maybe your story will inspire someone else to embrace their imperfect, hilarious, or spontaneous weekends. We've laughed at disasters, learned about trends, and shared some real-life confessions. But now let's get a little aspirational. If you could design your absolute dream weekend, Adam, what would it look like?
Oh, I've got this all figured out. My dream weekend starts with no alarms, just waking up naturally to sunlight streaming through the window. Saturday is for adventure. Maybe a road trip to the mountains or the beach, stopping at cool little diners along the way. I'd spend the afternoon hiking, followed by a sunset picnic with good music and even better company.
Wow, that does sound dreamy. What about Sunday?
Sunday is pure relaxation. A lazy morning with coffee and a book, maybe a homemade breakfast. Then a long, unplanned walk around the city, discovering hidden gems. I'd cap it off with a chill movie night. Nothing too ambitious, just good vibes all weekend long.
Adam, I have to admit that sounds pretty perfect. But you know me. I'd have my dream weekend planned to the minute.
Let me guess, Sophia. Your dream weekend involves 5 color-coded spreadsheets and a detailed itinerary?
Close, but hear me out. My dream weekend would start with an early morning yoga session followed by a fancy brunch at a cozy cafe, someplace with amazing croissants, of course. Then I'd spend Saturday exploring a new city or neighborhood, checking out art galleries, and maybe squeezing in a cooking class or a wine tasting.
Very sophisticated. And Sunday?
Sunday is my recharge day. I'd start with a quiet morning, journaling, sipping tea, maybe listening to some relaxing music. Then I'd indulge in a spa afternoon, complete with a massage and a facial. The evening would be reserved for dinner with friends, something intimate, like a backyard barbecue or a rooftop gathering. Simple, but meaningful.
Wow, your weekend sounds like a Pinterest board come to life. Can I tag along for the spa day?
Only if you don't fall asleep in the massage chair, Adam. Now, listeners, it's your turn. We asked you to tell us what your dream weekend would look like, and you did not disappoint. Here are a few of our favorites.
This one's from Priya. My dream weekend is all about food and travel. I'd start with a street food tour in a new city, followed by a boat ride at sunset. The next day, I'd relax at a luxury hotel spa and have dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant. I mean, Priya is living the life we all want, right?
Absolutely. And here's one from Carlos. My dream weekend is super simple. I'd go camping in the woods with no Wi-Fi, just good friends, a campfire, and lots of marshmallows. Pure peace.
Carlos, I respect that. Sometimes the simpler the plan, the better.
Totally. And here's a fun one from Aisha. I'd spend Saturday at a theme park, going on every roller coaster twice. Sunday would be for sleeping in and binge-watching my favorite shows. Now that's balance. Turning dream weekends into reality.
So, Sophia, let's get practical. How do we turn these dream weekends into reality? Because let's face it, life doesn't always cooperate with our Pinterest-worthy plans.
Great question. Step 1. Prioritize. Pick 1 or 2 elements from your dream weekend that you can realistically fit into your schedule. Maybe you can't do a full spa day, but you could treat yourself to a long bubble bath and a face mask.
Step 2. Don't overthink it. Sometimes making your weekend special is as simple as doing one new thing, trying a new cafe, taking a different route on your morning walk, or watching a movie under the stars.
And step 3. Plan ahead, but stay flexible. Life happens, and even dream weekends might need a backup plan. The key is to enjoy whatever you end up doing, even if it's not exactly what you imagined.
Exactly. Whether it's a luxury getaway or a chill day at home, the perfect weekend is about what makes you happy.
Okay, listeners, here's your challenge. Take one idea from your dream weekend and make it happen in the next month. It doesn't have to be extravagant, just something that brings you joy.
And don't forget to share it with us. Whether it's a photo, a story, or just a quick message, we'd love to hear how you're bringing those dream weekends to life.
Remember, your weekends are your time to recharge, explore, and make memories, so why not dream a little bigger?
And maybe we'll even take some inspiration from your dream weekends for our next one. Until then, keep dreaming, keep planning, or not planning, and make every weekend count. All right, Sophia. We've tackled dream weekends and productivity hacks, but let's zoom in on something smaller yet equally impactful: weekend rituals. These are those little traditions that anchor your weekends, giving them structure and meaning, even if you're not tackling big plans.
Yes, weekend rituals are such a game changer. They're not about doing something extravagant, they're about carving out small, meaningful moments that make your weekends feel uniquely yours. And the best part is, they can be as simple as a morning routine or as creative as a recurring activity.
Exactly. Rituals are like your personal signature for the weekend. So let's get personal. Sophia, what's one weekend ritual you absolutely can't miss?
For me, it's all about starting my Saturday morning with a visit to a cozy cafe. I've been doing this for years now, and it's my ultimate reset button. I head to my favorite spot, grab a latte, hazelnut if you're curious, and sit by the window with a good book or journal.
That sounds incredibly peaceful. I can imagine you just basking in that vibe while the world outside keeps moving. Do you ever get tempted to bring work along?
Oh, absolutely not. That's the one rule of this ritual. No work allowed. It's my time to completely unplug. Sometimes I'll people watch or just let my mind wander. It's such a small thing, but it helps me feel refreshed and ready for whatever the weekend brings.
I love that. It's like you're gifting yourself a moment of peace in a busy world. And let me guess, you've got a favorite seat?
Of course, it's this little corner by the window where I can see everything but still feel tucked away. It's my sanctuary.
Now let me tell you about my go-to weekend ritual. Every Sunday morning, without fail, I make breakfast while blasting my Sunday playlist. It's a mix of everything that makes me happy. Some indie, a little jazz, and of course, some cheesy 80s hits.
Cheesy 80s hits? Please tell me Take On Me is on there.
Oh, it absolutely is. Along with some Whitney Houston and a little Michael Jackson. It's pure serotonin, Sophia. Cooking breakfast while dancing around my kitchen. It's the best way to start the day.
I love how rituals like that turn ordinary moments into something joyful. Do you ever change the playlist? Or is it always the same?
I tweak it now and then to match my mood, but there are some core songs that never leave the list. They're like old friends. They just belong.
See, that's the magic of rituals. They're not just about what you're doing, they're about how they make you feel. So, let's break this down. Weekend rituals are more than just habits. They're intentional practices that give your weekends a sense of rhythm and purpose. They don't have to be fancy or time-consuming. They just have to be something you truly enjoy.
And the best part? Rituals can be completely unique to you. Some people love starting their weekend with yoga or meditation. Others might spend Saturday mornings baking or dedicating an hour to a creative hobby. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
Exactly. Rituals help you disconnect from the hustle of the week and reconnect with yourself. Whether they're about relaxation, creativity, or connection, they add that extra spark to your weekend.
We asked our listeners to share their favorite weekend rituals. And let me just say, you all have some incredible ideas. Here are a few that stood out.
This one's from Priya. Every Saturday evening, my husband and I have a movie night at home. We make popcorn, dim the lights, and treat it like a mini date night. It's our way of reconnecting after a busy week.
That's such a sweet ritual, Priya. And who doesn't love movie nights with popcorn? Here's another one from Marcus. My ritual is all about self-care. Every Sunday, I do a home spa session, candles, face masks, and relaxing music. It's my time to recharge before the week begins.
Love that, Marcus. And here's a fun one from Anya. My friends and I do a Sunday brunch potluck. Everyone brings something, and we spend hours eating, laughing, and catching up. It's become our little tradition.
Anya, that's amazing. Food, friends, and laughter. A perfect recipe for a great weekend.
How to start your own rituals. So, if you don't already have a weekend ritual, don't worry. It's never too late to start. Here's how you can create one. 1. Identify what you love. Think about what brings you joy, peace, or relaxation. Is it reading, cooking, spending time outdoors? 2. Start small. Your ritual doesn't have to be elaborate. It could be as simple as making a special breakfast or taking a quiet walk every Saturday morning. 3. Stay consistent. Rituals are all about repetition. The more you do it, the more it becomes a meaningful part of your weekend. 4. Adjust as needed. Your rituals can evolve over time. If something stops feeling special, tweak it or try something new. The goal is to create a tradition that feels like you.
And remember, rituals are personal. What works for someone else might not work for you, and that's okay. The key is to find something that makes your weekend feel just a little brighter.
Why rituals matter. When you think about it, rituals are like little anchors in our lives. They help us slow down, appreciate the moment, and reconnect with ourselves. And in a world that's always rushing, that's such a powerful thing.
Absolutely. Whether it's a playlist, a cafe visit, or a Sunday spa session, rituals remind us to prioritize our well-being. They turn ordinary moments into something extraordinary.
Listeners, if you have a weekend ritual you love, or if you're inspired to start one, let us know. Share your stories with us, and we might just feature them in a future episode.
Your weekends are your time to recharge, so why not make them meaningful? Whether it's big or small, find something that makes your weekends uniquely yours.
We've talked about relaxation, fun, and rituals, but let's shift gears for a moment. We all love using the weekend to recharge, but sometimes it's also the best time to tackle those tasks we've been putting off all week. So, let's dive into some weekend productivity hacks, because let's be honest, finding that balance between getting things done and enjoying your time off can be tricky.
Tricky? Try impossible for me. I'm the guy who says, "Oh, I'll handle that this weekend." But then Sunday night rolls around, and I've achieved absolutely nothing. Seriously, I need these hacks just as much as anyone else, maybe more.
You're not alone, Adam. I've been there too. But over the years, I've picked up a few tricks that have saved my weekends from turning into complete procrastination marathons. Let's share some ideas to help everyone, including you, get more out of their weekends. Okay, here's one of my favorite hacks: the Power Hour. The idea is simple. You set a timer for 60 minutes and focus on knocking out as many small tasks as you can. You know, the ones that pile up during the week, like folding laundry, meal prepping, tidying up, or paying bills. It's amazing how much you can accomplish in just one focused hour.
Power hour. Sounds intense, but also kind of genius. I like the idea of blitzing through those little tasks so they're not looming over you. My version of a hack is a bit lazier. I combine tasks with fun. For example, I'll listen to my favorite podcast while I'm cleaning the kitchen, or call a friend while I'm taking a walk. It's multitasking, but it makes the boring stuff way more enjoyable.
That's smart. Another hack I swear by is planning your week on Sunday evening. It only takes 15 or 20 minutes, but just sitting down, looking at your calendar and jotting down priorities for the week ahead makes a huge difference. It's like giving yourself a roadmap, so you're not overwhelmed when Monday rolls around.
That's such a great point, Sophia. I usually wing my Mondays, and let's just say, it doesn't always go well. Starting the week with a plan sounds like a game changer.
It really is. And here's another one: batching similar tasks. For example, instead of running out to do errands multiple times over the weekend, batch them into one trip. Or if you're meal prepping, cut and store all your veggies at once instead of doing it dish by dish. It saves so much time and energy.
Batching. That's like leveling up your efficiency. I think I might need to try that one too.
Common productivity pitfalls.
Of course, with every hack, there are also some pitfalls to watch out for. Like, here's a big one: trying to cram too much into your weekend. I'm totally guilty of this. I'll make this massive to-do list, but by the end of Saturday, I feel stressed because I've only checked off 2 things.
Yep, I've been there too. Overloading your weekend is the fastest way to feel overwhelmed and then nothing gets done. I always tell myself it's a weekend, not a second job. Focus on what's essential and let the rest go. Yep, I've been there too. Overloading your weekend is the fastest way to feel overwhelmed and then nothing gets done. I always tell myself it's a weekend, not a second job. Focus on what's essential and let the rest go. Exactly, Adam. And I think another trap is the whole all or nothing mindset. People feel like if they can't get everything done, then why bother doing anything at all? But even small progress is still progress. Productivity isn't about perfection. It's about making the most of your time.
Another pitfall I've fallen into is not setting boundaries. Like, if you're constantly answering work emails or running errands for everyone else, your weekend gets eaten up. It's okay to say no and protect your time. It's your weekend after all.
Exactly, Adam. And I think another trap is the whole all or nothing mindset. People feel like if they can't get everything done, then why bother doing anything at all? But even small progress is still progress. Productivity isn't about perfection. It's about making the most of your time.
Listener productivity tips. We also asked you, our amazing listeners, to share your best productivity hacks, and as always, you delivered. Here's one from Rachel. Every Friday night I make a simple to-do list for the weekend, but I limit it to just 3 things. It keeps me focused without feeling overwhelmed.
Rachel, that's brilliant. 3 is such a manageable number, and it forces you to prioritize what really matters. Here's another one from Anil. I use Sunday afternoons for meal prep. It takes me a couple of hours, but it saves so much time and stress during the week.
Anil, you're my hero. I can see how meal prep would make weekdays way less chaotic. And here's one more from Sarah. Every weekend, I set aside 30 minutes for decluttering. Even if it's just one drawer or one shelf, it keeps my space organized without feeling overwhelming.
I love that, Sarah. Decluttering can be so therapeutic, and doing it in small doses is such a smart approach. Honestly, these tips are proof that productivity doesn't have to mean doing everything. It's about focusing on what matters most. Tips to create your own hacks. If you're struggling to get things done on weekends, here are a few tips to help you create your own productivity system. 1. Prioritize. Start by asking yourself, what are the 3 most important things I need to accomplish? This keeps you focused and prevents you from overloading your schedule. 2nd time block. Dedicate specific blocks of time for different activities like errands, relaxation, or creative work. It helps you stay organized and ensures you don't spend all day on one thing. 3. Break it down. Big tasks can feel overwhelming, so break them into smaller, more manageable steps. For example, instead of clean the house, try tidy the living room or organize the closet. 4. Celebrate small wins. Every time you check something off your list, give yourself a moment to celebrate. It builds momentum and makes productivity feel rewarding. 5. Stay flexible. Life happens. If something doesn't go as planned, don't stress. Just adjust and move forward. On. Prioritize. Start by asking yourself, what are the 3 most important things I need to accomplish? This keeps you focused and prevents you from overloading your schedule. 2. Time block. Dedicate specific blocks of time for different activities like errands, relaxation, or creative work. It helps you stay organized and ensures you don't spend all day on one thing. 3. Break it down. Big tasks can feel overwhelming, so break them into smaller, more manageable steps. For example, instead of clean the house, try tidy the living room or organize the closet. 4. Celebrate small wins. Every time you check something off your list, give yourself a moment to celebrate. It builds momentum and makes productivity feel rewarding. 5. Stay flexible. Life happens. If something doesn't go as planned, don't stress. Just adjust and move forward.
I love that last tip. Weekends are supposed to be about balance, not perfection. Even if you only tackle 1 or 2 things, that's still progress.
Exactly, Adam. Productivity isn't about squeezing every drop of energy out of your weekend. It's about being intentional with your time and making it work for you. We've talked about productivity and fun, but weekends are also the perfect time for self-care. After a long, stressful week, taking care of yourself is so important. It's not just about relaxing, it's about recharging and making time for yourself.
You know, I used to think self-care was just a trend, like spa days and candles. But now I get that it's so much more. It's about finding what works for you, whether that's relaxing or doing something active.
Exactly. Self-care is different for everyone. For me, it's all about creating a calming environment. Every Saturday evening, I take a long bath with Epsom salts, light some candles, and play soothing music. Afterward, I spend a few minutes journaling to clear my mind. It's my way of unwinding and resetting.
That sounds amazing. For me, it's simpler. I love taking a solo walk in the park. Early in the morning when it's quiet, I leave my phone at home and just let my thoughts wander. It's such a great way to start the day and disconnect from everything.
See, that's the thing. Self-care doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be as simple as a walk or even just sipping your favorite tea while enjoying a moment of silence. It's about finding what makes you feel good.
Exactly. And I've realized that self-care isn't selfish. When you take care of yourself, you're in a better place mentally and emotionally, which helps you show up better for others.
Completely agree. Self-care is about giving yourself what you need, whether it's physical rest, emotional connection, or just a little break from the chaos.
We also asked some of our listeners to share their favorite self-care rituals. Here's one from Priya. Every Saturday morning, I go to a yoga class and treat myself to a smoothie afterward. It's my sacred time, and it helps me feel centered for the rest of the weekend.
That's such a great routine. Yoga and smoothies sound like the perfect way to start a weekend. Here's another one from Raj. I schedule 1 hour every weekend to do absolutely nothing. No plans, no screens, just lying on the couch and daydreaming.
I love that. Sometimes the best self-care is doing nothing and not feeling guilty about it. And this one from Lisa really made me smile. I make a playlist of my favorite songs and have a solo dance party in my living room. It's silly, but it makes me so happy.
That's amazing. Self-care can be fun and freeing. It doesn't always have to be serious or structured. The key is finding joy in the little things.
Totally. And if anyone listening is trying to figure out how to start their own self-care routine, don't overthink it. Start small. Maybe take 10 minutes to yourself, go for a walk, or pick up a book you've been meaning to read.
Right. And consistency is key. The more you prioritize those moments for yourself, the more they become something you look forward to every weekend. Self-care is all about taking the time to care for yourself, guilt-free.
So, what's your self-care plan for this weekend, Sophia?
This weekend, I'm thinking of trying something new, maybe baking a cake or painting. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just about enjoying the process. What about you?
I think I'll stick to my morning walks, but I might add in some journaling. I've been meaning to try that. It seems like a great way to clear your mind and reflect.
Sounds like a plan. Listeners, if you have a self-care ritual you love or are planning to start one, let us know. We'd love to hear your ideas and share them in our next episode. Weekends don't always have to be about big, elaborate plans or staying at home. Sometimes the best adventures are waiting right in your own backyard. Let's talk about exploring local spots and discovering hidden gems in your area.
Yes, I love this idea because honestly, we often overlook the amazing places right around us. I can't tell you how many times I've driven past a park or a small cafe and thought, I should check that out, but never actually did.
Same here. It's funny how we often think we need to travel far for adventure when there's so much to explore nearby. Like last weekend, I finally went to this tiny art gallery I'd heard about for years. It was incredible. Local artists, live music, and such a cozy vibe. I couldn't believe I'd been missing out for so long.
That sounds amazing. For me, it's the local hiking trails. I recently found one that's just a 20-minute drive from my place. It has this gorgeous waterfall at the end, and I had no idea it even existed until a friend mentioned it.
Exactly. Exploring locally doesn't just mean going to the usual spots. It's about stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new. It could be visiting a farmer's market, checking out a food truck festival, or even just walking around a neighborhood you've never been to before.
I think we get stuck in routines. Like, we go to the same restaurants, the same parks, and forget that there's so much more out there. One of my favorite things to do is search for highly rated but less known spots on Google Maps and just go there. You never know what you'll find.
That's such a good tip. Another fun idea is joining a local tour group. Many cities have walking tours or historical tours that can teach you so much about the place you live. It's like being a tourist in your own city.
You know what I also love? Food adventures. Trying new cuisines or finding those hole-in-the-wall restaurants that people rave about. Last month, I discovered this tiny Vietnamese place, and their pho was life-changing.
Food adventures are the best. There's a new Ethiopian restaurant in my area that I've been dying to try. And don't forget about food trucks. They're like little treasure hunts for amazing meals.
Yes, and food markets too. They're perfect for trying different flavors in one spot. Plus, supporting local businesses feels great.
Listeners, if you're wondering how to start your own local adventure, here are some simple ideas. 1. Visit a new park or hiking trail you haven't been to before. 2. Explore a local museum, gallery, or cultural centre. 3. Try a new cuisine or visit a family-owned restaurant. Check out community events like craft fairs, outdoor concerts, or open mic nights. 5. Take a day to walk or bike around your city and see it from a fresh perspective.
And don't forget to ask your friends or neighbors for recommendations. Sometimes, the best suggestions come from people who know the area well.
What's great about local adventures is that they don't require a lot of time or money. They're accessible, spontaneous, and often lead to unforgettable memories.
So, Sophia, what's on your list for your next local adventure?
I've been hearing about a lavender farm just an hour away. They let you pick your own lavender and they have this cute little shop with handmade products. I think that's my next stop. What about you?
There's a rooftop bar downtown I've been meaning to check out. It has an amazing view of the city skyline, and they do live jazz nights. It sounds like the perfect vibe for a Saturday evening.
That sounds so fun! Listeners, we'd love to hear about your favourite local adventures or places you've recently discovered. Share them with us, and maybe we'll try them out too.
Remember, adventure doesn't have to mean traveling far. Sometimes the most exciting discoveries are just around the corner. Go out, explore, and make the most of your weekend.
We've covered weekend self-care practices, but weekends are also a great time for adventure. And you don't need a plane ticket or a big budget to have fun. Some of the best adventures are the ones waiting right around the corner. Local, simple, and exciting.
Yes, exploring locally is something I think a lot of people overlook. We get so used to our routines that we forget there's a whole world of things to do nearby. I mean, have you ever found yourself saying, "I've lived here for years and never been to that cool spot everyone talks about"?
All the time. I think we all get into that mindset where we think local adventures are less exciting because they're close to home. But when you take a little time to explore, you realise how much your area has to offer. For me, it's all about finding those hidden gems like a cosy cafe, a quirky boutique, or a park I've never been to before.
That's a great point. And sometimes, it's about seeing familiar places with fresh eyes. For example, I recently went back to this nature trail I haven't visited in years. It was like rediscovering it all over again. What's funny is, I noticed things I'd completely missed the first time, like this little bridge overlooking a stream. It was so peaceful.
Exactly. Local adventures don't always have to mean new places. Even revisiting an old favourite can feel special if you change how you approach it. Like taking a morning walk instead of going in the afternoon, or trying a picnic at a park you usually just jog through.
But what about people who feel like they've done everything in their area? What would you say to them?
I'd say they probably haven't scratched the surface. There's always something new to explore. For instance, you could look for themed events happening nearby, farmers' markets, craft fairs, live music at a local venue, or even trivia nights at a pub. There are so many ways to shake things up.
Yes, And sometimes it's about discovering something unique that matches your interests. Are you into history? Visit a local museum or historical site. Foodie? Go on a food crawl and try dishes from a few different places in one day. Into art? Walk around and see if you can find some street murals or check out a local gallery.
Exactly. And you don't have to do it alone. Exploring with friends or family can make it even more fun. One of my favourite weekend memories was when my friends and I randomly picked a nearby town we'd never visited and spent the day there. We found this cute bakery, explored a bookshop, and even stumbled on a small festival we didn't know was happening.
That sounds like a blast. I did something similar with my cousins a few months ago. We decided to explore a part of the city we never visit and ended up at this rooftop restaurant with an incredible view of the skyline. It was one of those "why didn't we do this sooner" moments.
We also asked our listeners about their favourite local adventures, and the responses were amazing. Here's one from Maya. Every Saturday morning, I try a new food truck or street vendor. It's my way of supporting local businesses and satisfying my foodie side.
I love that, Maya. Food trucks are such a fun way to explore your city. Here's another one from Ravi. I'm into photography, so I go on photo walks every weekend. I pick a different neighborhood each time and look for interesting buildings, street art, or even just quirky little details.
That's such a great idea, Ravi. Here's one more from Emma. My friends and I do what we call a map adventure. We close our eyes, pick a random spot on the map, and go there. It's led us to some really unexpected and cool places, like small town festivals and hidden hiking trails.
I love the spontaneity of that. And it's a reminder that you don't always need a detailed plan. Sometimes the best adventures are the ones you stumble upon when you're just open to exploring.
If you're looking for ideas to start your own local adventure, try this. Think of one thing you've always wanted to do but never made time for. Maybe it's visiting that museum you drive past every day or checking out that restaurant everyone raves about. Make it your goal this weekend.
Or pick a theme for the day. Like, you could do a nature day and visit a nearby park or botanical garden, or a foodie day where you try something sweet, savory, and spicy at different spots. Having a theme makes the day feel like an adventure.
And remember, adventures don't have to be big or expensive. They're really about changing your routine and doing something that makes your weekend memorable. Even something as simple as taking a new route on your evening walk can feel refreshing.
Listeners, we'd love to hear about your favorite local spots or weekend adventures. Have you discovered something amazing in your area recently? Share it with us, and we might feature it in an upcoming episode. You might just inspire someone else to explore their own backyard.
And with that, we're wrapping up today's episode. We've covered so much, from balancing fun and relaxation to productivity hacks, self-care, and even local adventures. I hope we've inspired you to make the most of your weekends, whether it's trying something new, sticking to your rituals, or just taking time to recharge.
Absolutely. Weekends are such a special part of our lives, and it's all about finding what makes them meaningful for you. Maybe it's a new adventure, maybe it's some quiet downtime, or maybe it's a mix of both. Whatever it is, we hope you'll take these ideas and make your weekends unforgettable.
Before we go, don't forget to let us know how you spend your weekends. Share your stories, rituals, and tips with us on social media or drop us a message. We'd love to hear from you. And who knows, your idea might make it into our next episode.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with a friend who could use some weekend inspiration. It really helps us out and keeps us motivated to bring you more fun conversations.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, and don't forget to make this weekend one to remember. Bye for now.